We have some very talented, very knowledgeable, very accomplished people to help us learn more about ways in which we can improve our health and have better, just need to put my words down, and have a better existence. And a lot of this is up to us as to what to learn things about how to survive. I was thinking about my own history. This is National Diabetes Month. When I was 5 years old, my mother died. So that was the most traumatic experience, the earliest period of trauma in my life. The cause of her death was diabetes. She was 5 years old. There were complications related to diabetes. But back in South Alabama, where I was growing up, there were minimal services available to people who looked like me. And my mother did not receive adequate medical care of what did exist. And we also didn't have those kinds of things that would preserve her life. So many people, in addition, many people have succumbed to this illness called diabetes. One of the things that happened after that is my mom lived in the city and we lived in the city of Selma. And then my father's family lived in the country of Selma on a farm. So we went to live with my father. And we were on a farm where there was just vegetables, and of course plenty of cotton fish, but lots of vegetables year-round. We raised cattle, beef, hogs, but we had pork too. But we had all that we had plenty of food. But we had beautiful gardens, and there was introduced to a whole lot of vegetables. And so, vegetables and my food that's always been a big deal to me. So we're going to learn much about how we can have healthier food that saves and preserves lives. So selected by our presenters today is the topic, healthy now and healthy later. Eating healthy now helps you to live longer. And so we'll hear a lot about that. And I'm just going to share briefly from this very extensive bio that has been provided by our speaker. First of all, our speaker today, many of you may know her already, is Cordell Hastings, who is a registered nurse. She has worked extensively in the field of cardiovascular health. And she will be able to tell you a lot about herself, but she has, may I step back a little bit? Okay. Most of her years were at Providence Hospital, where she spent much time in cardiology units. She's participated in research. She has participated as a
This event, I need to tell you, would not have happened without Ms. Walker. I have continued her praises from the moment I met her. She has provided so much guidance and support. Her heart is just in the business of service. And so she has just really encouraged me to move forward with visions like this, to reach out to the community and offer whatever service, whatever information, whatever I have that I can give to help people. The services that she is a licensed medical social worker, and she heads up things here. I don't know all her responsibilities. I'm not sure anybody does. She probably does so much. But the services that the church here and the Ebenezer Community Cultural Center provide for the community are invaluable. They have a food pantry, they have a portable closet, they have on-site counseling, just to name a few of the things that they do. Thank you so much, Ms. Walker, and your staff for allowing us to serve in this space with you. I would also, just briefly before I move on, like to thank Karen Williams, my dear friend, who introduced me to Ms. Walker when I was looking for a place, a venue, a place to share this information. Without Karen, I would not have known anything about this organization, and it's been a blessing ever since the day I met her. So, thank you, Karen. I want to welcome everyone here. We are so happy to be here, and I'm honored and privileged to be able to share some life-changing and life-saving information with you. Before we start, we'll go over our order of events. But first, I need to read this healthcare disclaimer. Topics discussed here are for informational purposes only and do not constitute medical advice, treatment, or diagnosis. Always talk to your healthcare provider for diagnosis and treatment. If you have or suspect that you have a medical problem or condition, please contact a qualified health professional immediately. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911 immediately. Now the legalities are out of the way. I'm going to highlight just our order of events. We're going to, you all aware that we have light refreshments, and please help yourself. Just a few housekeeping items. Silence your phones as a courtesy. And also, the women's restroom is up the stairs and to the right. The men's restroom is up the stairs, straight down, past the women's restroom and to the right. Just an overview of what we'll be covering today. We'll be discussing diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, and strokes. You'll find on your table some index cards and pens. If during the presentation you have a question, write it down and see myself or Dr. Igorigi, which I'll introduce you to her shortly, after the presentation if you have questions. You will also find a notebook with paper if you want to take notes. Thank you, Ms. Walker, for that. We will have a drawing for some turkeys. I believe we have 3 turkeys. After the presentation, we have a raffle. Make sure you received your ticket when you came in. You must be present to receive your butterball turkey. We are also raffling off a beautiful basket and some lovely scented candles. So keep your ticket handy. We are also offering free blood pressure checks. We have our nurses and our doctor at this table. They will make their way to the back after the presentation. So We will be offering the blood pressure checks signed by a physician. You can, if you choose, with your doctor's visit, you can let them know that this was an official check, and this is what you were doing on this day. As indicated on the flyer, the first 40 people will receive a bag of groceries. Please present your ticket to one of the people at the table to get your groceries after the presentation. If bags are left over, they will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. So, we're going to get started. I wanted to, before I go any further, I wanted to introduce you to my friend and church member, Dr. Nadine Iwanji. She is a dermatology resident at Wayne State University, following a transitional year residency at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. She's a graduate of the Frank H. Netter MD School of Medicine with a distinction in global health. Dr. Iwanji also holds a Master's of Public Health from Thomas Jefferson University, where she graduated with academic honors. An advocate for equity and inclusivity, Dr. Iwanji has co-led several diversity-focused committees and initiatives. With a passion for educational outreach and mentoring and experience in community health and research, Dr. Iwanji is dedicated to advancing dermatologic education, health equity, and wellness in healthcare. So I'm going to present to you Dr. Iwanji. She's affectionately known to me as Nadine, so if you hear me say that, I'm talking about her. We'll have her come, we welcome her, have her come up, and she'll say a few words.
Dermatology resident at Wayne State. And I guess the question is, what is a future dermatologist doing here? So that's a great question. So a little background about me. My parents immigrated from Nigeria in the 80s, and so they migrated to DC before I was born. And so I remember as a child, they always worked to make sure that we were living that American dream. They did struggle, and so a lot of the times my mother would take me and my siblings to different community events where they would give out turkeys for Thanksgiving, or they would give out gifts for Christmas, just so that we were able to have a great Thanksgiving as well as a Merry Christmas. And so I just remember how those communities poured into me and into my family, and even those communities told me that I was going to be a doctor one day. They weren't against me just having that dream. And so for me, it was a big thing to always remember that I wanted to pour back into my community. So I did medical school in Connecticut. And so when I learned that I was going to be doing my residency here in Detroit, I was really excited because not only would I be serving a diverse community, I was going to be serving patients that look like me. And so I think I learned a lot while I was at Henry Ford, but I think the biggest burden to me was specifically as it pertained to diabetes. A lot of patients taught me about what a normal blood sugar was and how they were supposed to manage their diabetes. And I'm not sure where the misconception came, but it was a huge burden on me to educate my community on what's normal. A normal blood sugar is at 125. That's a random sugar. But when it comes to diabetes, it's the fasted blood sugar that really counts. A normal blood sugar is 99 and below. And so I've met a lot of patients that told me that for them, a normal blood sugar was 200. Blood sugars are not personalized. So I'm not sure where it came from, but it was something that I really wanted to emphasize what was normal. And so again, yes, blood sugars are not personalized. And so I think what a lot of patients didn't understand is that, if your cells aren't taking up that sugar, the sugar has to deposit somewhere. And so I think a lot of patients didn't know that with an uncontrolled blood sugar, there's a lot of complications with diabetes. You can go blind, it can affect your heart, it can happening, and I want them to be educated in diabetes. So I'll just hand it back over to Ms. Hastings so that she can talk to you guys about her.
Thank you, indeed. So our passion is about helping people. When you look around today in our city, our state, and indeed our country, so many of us are ill, unhealthy, debilitated, and even dying due to largely preventable health issues. I hope today to share some encouraging information that you can use to make changes that will give you and your families a healthier life now and later. I'd like to start with a quote that says, "Nutrition isn't just about eating, it's about learning to live." November is National Diabetes Month. And we will be spending time discussing prevention, signs and symptoms, and management of diabetes. We will also discuss high blood pressure, heart disease, kidney disease, and strokes. To start, here's a bit of encouraging news about how to break the cycle of generational illnesses. Many of us have a strong family history of diabetes and high blood pressure, especially in our Black communities. Some with heart disease as well as strokes. Research has shown that healthy eating habits and healthy lifestyle changes can help you stave off diabetes, as well as some of the other health issues like high blood pressure, heart problems, kidney disease, and strokes. This is great news in the fight against generational illnesses. I always thought that because my parents had high blood pressure and diabetes that I was destined. That is not, science has proved that is not necessarily the case. You, to a great degree, determine your own destiny by your behavior, by your actions, by your eating. Now, we're going to talk about taking charge of our health today and tomorrow. Number one, nourish your body with a balanced diet. Eat fresh and colorful. Fill your plate with fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins. Watch your sodium. That's a big one. Because I used to eat the food, I used to love my salt. But it didn't love me so much. Reduce salt intake to help manage blood pressure and protect your kidneys. Stay hydrated. Drink plenty of water to support overall health. Monitor and manage high blood pressure. Check regularly. Keep track of your blood pressure to catch any changes early. That's key. You don't want to go on for an extended period of time about high blood pressure that's doing damage. Reduce stress. Practice relaxation techniques like deep breathing or meditation. Whatever it takes, a run, a walk, whatever you do that helps you relax. Number three, protect your kidneys. Control your blood sugar. If you have diabetes, manage your blood sugar levels carefully. Limit alcohol. Excessive alcohol can strain your kidneys. Avoid the over-the-counter painkillers. Now, there are times we do need to take those, but use medications wisely to prevent kidney damage. Number four, make lifestyle changes for long-term health. Quit smoking. Smoking harms your blood vessels and kidneys. I know that's easy for someone to say who doesn't smoke. I understand that. But I would encourage you to keep trying. If you fall down, please get back up. If you have to do it 100 times, please get back up. Never stop trying to be healthy. Get regular checkups. Routine medical visits can help prevent and manage conditions. Educate yourself. Stay informed about how diet and lifestyle affect your health. Your health is your most valuable asset. By making smart choices, you're investing in a healthier future. We're going to talk about diabetes now, but before we move on, let's look at a few statistics from the CDC about diabetes. About 38 million adults have diabetes, and 1 in 5 of them don't know they have it. Diabetes is the 8th leading cause of death. Diabetes is the #1 cause of kidney failure. Loss of limbs, your limbs being amputated, and adult blindness. When I read some of these statistics, I was even shocked. I was very surprised. In the last 20 years, the number of adults diagnosed with diabetes has more than doubled. In addition to the overall prediction, analysis of this data by race and ethnicity predicted a higher burden of type 2 diabetes for Blacks, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, Pacific Islander, American Indian, and Alaska Native youth. So that means, knowing this, we need to be extra vigilant and extra careful. Type 2 diabetes has substantially increased among young people over the last 2 decades, which is concerning. It used to be you didn't hear about anybody with the old folks having diabetes, our parents, our grandparents. Now, you're seeing it in young people. It's so important that we give our children, start there. It's so important what we give them to eat. Everything is loaded with sugar. There are hidden sugars that we don't even realize, and I'll mention some of those in this presentation. Speaking of sugar, let's talk about sugar for a moment. Americans consume about 130 pounds of added sugar a year. Sugar makes your organs fat, not you. The inside of these organs. The fructose, a component of table sugar in high fructose corn syrup, triggers your liver to store fat efficiently, which is, in rare cases, can cause non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Typically, we think of liver disease coming from cirrhosis of liver because of alcohol. They're saying sugar can cause some of these detrimental effects as well. Avoid drinks with lots of added sugars, including those healthy sounding smoothies. We all love them. You're better off if the fructose comes from a natural source like fruit. The fiber helps blunt the sugar shocks to your system. Some of the smoothies contain 54 grams or 13.5 teaspoons of sugar, y'all. Who puts that kind of sugar in anything that they eat or drink? But this is what's in one of those lovely, beautiful, wonderful smoothies that we love. Sugar primes your body for diabetes. I know we try to lower our sugar, but sugar is often hidden in ketchup, frozen foods, beef jerky, and bread. Who knew? The recommended sugar levels from the American Heart Association is 5 teaspoons for women. This was all news to me too. 9 teaspoons for men and 3 teaspoons for children. For reference, a can of soda generally contains up to 12 grams or 3 teaspoons of sugar. 1 can of soda. A single slice of bread contains 2 teaspoons. So that gives you a reference of how much we consume. And a lot of times, inadvertently, we don't even realize. There is an unsettling connection between sugar and cholesterol. The Journal of the American Medical Association found that those who ate the highest levels of added sugars experienced the biggest spike in bad cholesterol levels. The theory is sugar overload can spark your liver to churn out more bad cholesterol and inhibit your body from clearing it out. We've all heard the doctors scold us about our cholesterol is too high, we need to get on a statin. We've heard this. But are we inadvertently doing things to promote the bad cholesterol that we don't even realize? Here's a sugar smart tip. Eat a protein-rich breakfast. Skipping breakfast makes you 4 times more likely to become obese. Eating breakfast also helps keep your blood sugar levels more favorable. An example is a protein-rich eggs over a bagel. I know that's not attractive, but because we love our bagels. A Brown University neuropathologist coined the term type 3 diabetes. This was alarming to me. Her team discovered the link between insulin resistance, high-fat diets, and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is an epidemic proportions. We all know someone or we've had someone in our families with Alzheimer's. I heard a while back that sometimes scientists were calling Alzheimer's diabetes 3. So that lets you know the correlation between sugar and Alzheimer's. Very alarming. It's well known that sugar triggers inflammation in the body, which can have lasting effects on the brain. So mom, give the kids apples, oranges, grapes, instead of the sugary cereals and bagels. That's where I end. You guys fight that battle with the kids yourself. Because I'm sure it will be a battle. Now, let's talk about what diabetes is. Simply put, it's a group of diseases that result in too much sugar in the blood. And Indeed touched on this in her talk. The 2 most common ones are type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. We will only be covering the basics because of time constraints. And any of you, if there's anyone that has diabetes, you know already. This stuff is not new to you. Type 1 diabetes is a lifelong condition where the pancreas makes too little insulin. Pancreas is that little organ right there in the middle of the abdomen. This leads to high sugar levels in the blood. Type 1 diabetes is usually found in young people. Insulin is a hormone. Its main job is to move glucose or sugar from the bloodstream into the body cells to make energy. Type 2 diabetes, this is the one we're going to focus on because this is the one that we have the most control over. The simple explanation is that it is a long-term condition in which the body has trouble controlling blood sugar and using it for energy. If you have diabetes, blood glucose or blood sugar cannot enter the cells in your body, so it builds up in your bloodstream. Over time, blood sugar harms your body and can lead to diabetes-related complications if not treated or managed properly. Our goal, of course, is to avoid diabetes, if possible, but sometimes it's out of your hands. We don't always get a choice with some of these illnesses. Let's look at some of the complications that can come with diabetes. Diabetes increases your risk for many serious health problems. The good news, with the correct treatment and recommended lifestyle changes, many people with diabetes can prevent or delay the onset onset of some of these complications that I'm going to talk about. So don't be in despair. This is information just to make you aware of the possibilities of what can happen if this disease is not managed properly. Cardiovascular disease, or heart disease, is the #1 cause of death in people living with diabetes. Consistently, high blood sugar levels can cause damage in your blood vessels and the nerves that control your heart. Over time, the damage can lead to heart disease. Another complication, diabetes-related eye disease. People of color are at greater risk of going blind from diabetes. Diabetic retinopathy is a leading cause of blindness in American adults. Retinopathy involves damage to the blood vessels in the retina. The number of individuals with diabetic retinopathy is predicted to increase by 48% by 2030. In 5 years, the number of people diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy could go up 48%. That means your risk of blindness is there. That's a very frightening statistic. An annual diabetic exam is one of the easiest and most effective ways to detect and manage eye disease. Getting your eyes checked. And a lot of times we want to avoid them dilating our eyes because you can't see for a while. But that's important. When you go get your eye exam, let them dilate. Many times they can detect changes in the nerves in the eye you may not be aware of that may be diabetic has caused. However, if they detect changes, that means you have had some blood sugar problems for a while. So don't forego your eye exams if you need to get eye exams, and get your eyes dilated so that they can take a good look inside. Neuropathy is another complication, and that's nerve damage. That affects about half of all diabetics. Main symptoms of neuropathy is tingling, burning, numbness in the hands, legs, and feet. High blood sugar levels can injure nerves throughout the body. Keeping your blood sugar levels on target is the best line of defense to keep neuropathy at bay. Stroke is another complication. All these are complications of diabetes if it's not managed properly. Doesn't mean that this is going to happen, but it's a greater chance if you don't take your diabetes seriously. If you have diabetes, your chances of having a stroke are twice as high as in people without diabetes. How does diabetes put you at a higher risk for stroke? When you're having a stroke, that means either a clot has broken and blocked the vessel in the brain, or a blood vessel. Let me repeat that. When you're having a stroke, that means either a clot has blocked the vessel in the brain, or a blood vessel has broken and is bleeding into the brain. That's the definition of stroke. High blood sugars cause damage to the blood vessels in the brain, just like everywhere else. Notice you have a continual theme here. All of this is related to high blood sugars in the veins, in the vessels, the damage that it's doing. You can have damage to any part of your body if your blood sugar levels stay high. So it's so important to try to manage as best you can your diabetes. Now, how can we combat diabetes? First, you will need to see a healthcare provider. This is the very first step in combating this disease that is taking so many of us out. If you don't have one or don't have health insurance, there are other options. If this community cultural center, Ms. Walker, Karen, there are other wonderful people here that can provide you with information. If you need to see a doctor or if you don't have health insurance, there are options available to you to be able to get your health care needs met if you choose to. Some of us don't like doctors. I understand that. We have fears. We don't want to face what they have to say. We don't want them to scold us. Some of us don't trust them. They don't look like us. We have any number of reasons why we don't go to the doctor. I get it. I've been guilty of having some of those excuses from time to time. All of these are understandable concerns. So what happens? What happens is we don't go. And we're continuing down a path that may not be good with our health when we don't go to get the necessary assessment and treatment. These doctors hold the key to us living longer, healthier lives. They do provide an important service that we need. What I want to encourage you to do is consider the cost of not going to the doctor. Will that eventually result in lost limbs, heart disease, a stroke? Had I not gone to the doctor for routine checks, I would not have known I was pre-diabetic. This was some years ago. Knowing that gave me a chance to turn around and avoid some of the complications that I just talked about. I am no longer pre-diabetic because of the changes I made with my diet and exercising. I was able to roll that back. That is possible. With diligence, it is hard work, but it's worth it because it's your life and your health. During that routine, another time, during other routine doctor's visits, they discovered I had nodules on my thyroid. Routine doctor's visits, you know how they make you swallow, they hold your neck, and they check your thyroid. They discovered I had more than one nodule on my thyroid. They decided they were going to watch them, see how they do it. Year after year, we watched. There were on a few occasions, they actually did biopsies on these nodules. They wanted to make sure they weren't cancerous. And thankfully, they were not, by God's grace. But they kept growing. They didn't stop growing. They watched them. Finally, the doctor told me that I needed to consider having my thyroid removed. Otherwise, the nodules were going to grow to the point that they would occlude my breathing. So, after doing my research, talking over with my husband, praying about it, getting advice, I decided to go ahead with the surgery. I had my thyroid removed January 12, 2016. They put me on thyroid medication. I am doing great. Again, all of that came as a result of a routine doctor's visit. The things that we don't know can really harm us if we don't know it and things are allowed to progress. Now, let's look at a different scenario. My baby brother, Timmy, living his life, working hard, bought a house, living life. At some point, while he was working long hours, as a supervisor, anybody that's been a supervisor knows how hard that job is. He had been told that he had high blood pressure. He was put on blood pressure medication. And, did I tell you he was a good cook? He could cook up some stuff. And so he cooked, and he ate exactly what he wanted to eat. He did make some changes in his diet. At work, he began to notice he had some changes in his vision. He couldn't see. He couldn't read. He was a supervisor who can't read. He didn't know what was going on. Sometimes dizzy, wobbly. He went to the emergency room. Blood sugar and blood pressure were off the charts. Very high. They gave him pills, put him on a regimen, which he followed for a while, then not so much. Still eating wrong food, taking his medicine when he could afford it. It's tough. The meds are expensive, and when you can't afford it, he sometimes, he found it difficult to ask. Whenever I went to Indianapolis, I asked him, let me help you, and of course, I don't think it sound, but man, it was fine, and I got it, I understood. So I would just give it to him, so that he could, what help with his medication? Well, eventually he went into kidney failure. Ended up on dialysis. When you're a diabetic, blood sugar damages the delicate vessels in the kidneys, and they gradually lose their ability to filter waste. Another complication of diabetes. I tried to be a kidney donor for him, but through testing, they found out I had kidney stones in both of my kidneys. So I was rejected as a donor for him. After a few years of dialysis, Timmy passed away at 51. Very young. Could this have been avoided? Possibly. We don't know. Had he not been too busy to pay attention to his health before it got to a critical level? Prevention is better than a cure. Pay attention to your body, to your health. Something to consider. Think about your loved ones when you choose to ignore yourself and not take care of your health. His daughters, his wife, his family was devastated. I literally held his grown daughter almost on my lap through the entire funeral. She was devastated. So it takes a toll. Your life is not your own, not just your own. So something to consider as you make some hard choices with growing in the area of healthy living. Let's switch gears for a moment. Some of us are doing the right thing, and kudos to you. That's wonderful. Keep doing it. Some may have areas that you need to improve. If you've been diagnosed with diabetes, there are some questions for you. Are you checking blood sugars regularly? Are you watching what you eat? Are you exercising? As you review what you're doing right, celebrate that. Areas you can improve, make a plan to do so right away. If you're drinking too many sodas, make a plan to do 1 or 2 less per week. If you're not checking your blood sugar, start today. If there are too many snacks in the house, give them away or throw them away. Listen, that's hard. I get it. That's hard. If you're not exercising, start, even if it's with a YouTube video. With the weather changing, we can't always get out and walk or do whatever. We don't have a championship. YouTube is full of videos. Yes, you may look silly in your living room, but that's okay. It's an exercise. Remember, you are trying to avoid those complications of heart disease, loss of limbs, kidney disease, stroke. You want to live well now so you can live well later. I've known people who have been taken off medications because they have done so well with their diet and exercise. They were taken off their medications because they did so well with the diet and exercise. Their blood sugars dropped so much they no longer needed medication. And just before I close, I just wanted a few things about a stroke that I just want like he's having a stroke. This is just kind of thrown in there. Call 911. Don't delay. Many times people just want to go and rest. We don't want to go to the hospital. But if you are witnessing a family member and they have facial drooping or their arms are weak, if they just don't look right, you can tell something's going on, speech difficulty, call 911. I had a friend. She called me over. Some of my friends here may know her, Barb Cosby. I went to her house one day. She said she thought that she saw her husband's mouth was droopy. She said, it didn't look right. When I got to her house, he looked fine. I simply asked him, I said, Melvin, hold out your arms. And I watched him. He could, if I noticed one arm started to drift. That was all I needed to know. He could not hold both arms out. That was a sign of weakness. I told her, because of course husbands want to just go back to bed and lie down, and he told her, I can just go back and rest. I said, no, you're going to the hospital now. And he was having a stroke. A lot of times, you're not debilitated right then. You may just have the symptoms. Call 911. They need to go to the hospital. Don't drive them yourself, because if they start to deteriorate in your car, you can't help them. Call 911 and ambulance, and someone will be here to take care of them. Also, remember, if you can, remember the time that you noticed the weakness or the problem. That's important, because some of the drugs that they give stroke patients are time dependent. It depends on how much time has passed, whether or not they can receive a certain clot busting drug. So, and I have copies of a sheet. We're going to have copies that you can get at the back, and it tells you the signs to remember for a stroke. It's going to be on the back table when you use this next one. Your life is important, is more important than anything else. We want to be healthy as we age. We want to be self-sufficient. We want to accomplish our dreams and goals. And we want to feel good while doing it. Something to remember. The way we treat our body when we're young determines how our body will treat us when we're old. Consider those you love. The ones you love, the ones you always want to be here for. Think about the reasons you want to be healthy. That is your why. Let that be part of your motivation when the health work gets hard. The work you start won't always be hard. Eventually, it becomes a lifestyle. And that's when you really understand that nutrition isn't just about eating, it's about learning to live. Thank you so much. Before we do that, I'd just like to give a special thank you to Dr. Emarzi. And the nurses, we have nurses here that will be, we're offering free blood pressure checks. They will be in the back. I'd like to thank them as well for giving them their time. These events don't happen without the wonderful selflessness of wonderful people that are willing to give. I also want to thank Dan, Karen's husband, who printed all the beautiful flyers, my handouts. He was really helpful to get this information out. And my church family, from the Detroit church, who came out to help today. Yes. This is going to be the drawing for the turkey. So first, so get your numbers out.
First ticket is 166-008. Again, 166-008. That's 008.
We also have a drawing for a beautiful basket, and we will be doing two more drawings, one for the beautiful basket and one for the beautiful scented candy. So,
All right, so the next ticket is 166-005. Is 166-017.
Okay, I'm asking you not to leave yet because we're going to the next part of our workshop.
we are going to be doing anyone that wants to have their blood pressure checked. Our nurses will make their way to the back, and our doctor will be back there as well. We're going to record that, and these will be official blood pressure readings. So you can take these to the physician, or you can just have them for your own information.